Queen Valyara of the Dominion of Suns had ruled 3 star systems for over 200 cycles. She was feared, revered, and worshipped depending on who was asking. To her people, she was the unbreakable spine of an empire built through alliances and victories. To her enemies, she was the woman who turned warships into monuments of surrender. But to one man, just one, she was simply Val. And that man was Commander Alex Rourke, a human from the Soul Frontier. Their marriage had begun as an arrangement, political, strategic, beneficial for both sides. Humanity was rising, expanding farther than expected, and the Dominion saw the value in binding themselves to this suddenly capable species. Alex was chosen as envoy, Valyara as the royal match. What began as cool diplomacy warmed into understanding, and eventually something that resembled love. Yet there was one truth Valyara never quite believed. Humans claimed they were physically weak compared to other species. They claimed they relied on technology, strategy, and numbers because their bodies were unimpressive. And Alex, despite being tall and broad by human standards, seemed to confirm the notion. He was quick-witted, calm, and eternally composed, but never gave demonstration of great physical power. So when Valyara married him, she assumed he was like any other human. Fragile,
soft,
admirably brave, but easy to break. She had no idea how wrong she was. Beginning, the spark that lit the fuse. It began during the signing of the Eternal Peace, held on Lore Prime, a ceremonial world where the Dominion showcased its grandeur. The hall was built of luminescent stone, taller than any skyscraper Alex had known back home. Banners of alien silk fluttered, holograms of ancient rulers watched, and the great houses of the Dominion gathered to finalize an alliance that would shape the future. Alex stood at Valyara's side, dressed in regal armor gifted from her personal forge. It fit him well, though he claimed it was heavier than anything he'd worn before. Valyara teased him gently for that, and he smiled as if the weight were nothing. But the celebration was interrupted. A faction opposed to the Union, the Bloodwing Clade, stormed the event. They were genetically enhanced warriors, towering figures with scaled armor fused into their skin. Their leader, Varric the Unbound, marched forward and declared, "Dominion blood shall not be tainted by humans. Hand the mail over, Queen. We will display his broken body as a warning." Valyara stepped forward, her royal crest blazing with power. "Alex Rourke is my consort and my equal. You will not touch him." Varric's soldiers laughed. To them, Valyara was powerful but bound by politics. To them, Alex was just flesh waiting to be crushed. When the first Bloodwing warrior lunged, Valyara moved to intercept, but Alex caught her wrist gently. "Let me," he whispered. She stared. Was he serious? The Bloodwing elite were infamous for tearing apart armored mechs with their bare hands. Humans, even trained soldiers, could not stand against them physically. Everyone knew this. Yet Alex stepped forward alone. He unclipped the golden ceremonial cloak and let it fall. His armor hummed as internal systems kicked in, yet even then, Valyara doubted. No human frame could withstand Bloodwing's strength. The first warrior, 8 feet tall and genetically warped for battle, swung an armored fist at Alex's skull. Alex caught the punch, and the hall fell silent. Not only did he catch it, he held the warrior's fist frozen in place. Tendons strained on the alien's mutated arm, metal-fused bone grinding against Alex's unyielding grip. Valyara's eyes widened. She sensed no augmentation, no exosuit assistance, no gravitational manipulation. He was using raw human strength. Alex's voice was calm, almost disappointed. You should have chosen diplomacy. With a sudden motion, he twisted. Bones cracked like thunder, and the Bloodwing warrior collapsed to the floor, howling. Gasps echoed. Cameras zoomed in. Nobles whispered. Valyara felt her pulse race, not with fear, but astonishment.
How?
How could any human do that? She had heard rumors, whispers among human officers. Never provoke the commander. Laughter over drinks claiming he once broke a steel shield in training. Stories easily dismissed as exaggeration. But now, as Alex faced a dozen incoming Bloodwing fighters without hesitation, she understood those tales had been understated. When the mask fell away, the hall erupted into chaos. Bloodwing soldiers roared and charged. Valyara summoned her psionic crown, generating a protective field, but Alex moved faster, stepping into the fray with brutal efficiency. He fought like a storm contained in muscle and bone. No wasted motion. Every strike deliberate. A knee shattered a reinforced chest plate. An elbow caved in a helmet. A fist sent a warrior flying through a crystalline column, exploding it into dust. Valyara stood frozen. Not from fear, but awe. Had she married a monster? A miracle? Both. When 7 Bloodwing soldiers leapt at him together, Alex finally raised his voice, not in anger, but in warning. You wanted to know what humanity is capable of.
Fine.
Watch closely. He inhaled deeply and then released his strength fully. His muscles expanded subtly beneath the armor, not grotesquely but densely, like steel cables tightening. Veins glowed faintly as oxygen-flooded systems pushed beyond normal limits. His eyes, not alien, not augmented, burned with pure, unfiltered determination. Then he moved faster than Valyara's eyes could track. 1 heartbeat, and every Bloodwing warrior lay broken across the hall, alive but groaning, unable to stand. Silence followed. Alex straightened, breathing controlled, as though he had run only a short distance. Varric the Unbound trembled. You are not human. Alex turned to him, voice quiet. We are exactly human. We train, we endure, we adapt, we overcome. Our strength isn't just muscle, it's will. But sometimes the muscle helps. Varric fled. The nobles of the Dominion, warriors and scholars alike, stared at Alex with a mixture of fear and admiration. Cameras broadcast it live across the Empire. The moment an unaugmented human defeated a legendary war clan. Valyara approached slowly, heart pounding. Alex, she whispered, voice trembling despite herself. All this time you hid this from me? He looked almost guilty. You already have enough enemies, Val. I didn't want to add more attention just because your human husband could throw a tank if you gave him enough leverage. She blinked. You can what? Alex cleared his throat. A hypothetical example. But she wasn't hearing the words. She was seeing him, truly seeing him, as others saw her. A ruler of power. A being that others underestimated until it was too late. For the first time in cycles, she felt surprised. For the first time in decades, she felt impressed. And for the first time in her life, she felt small next to another. Not because she was weak, Valyara was anything but because she realized humans were not fragile at all. They were dangerous when they chose to be. Ending the weight of a promise. In the days that followed, rumors spread like wildfire. The Queen's human consort defeated the Bloodwing elite. Humans possess hidden strength beyond scanners. The Dominion underestimated Earth. Delegations visited Valyara, asking if humanity planned conquest. Armies requested joint training. Diplomats urged caution. But in private chambers, Valyara confronted the only person whose answer mattered. Alex sat quietly polishing his armor. "Are you angry?" he asked gently. She sat beside him, the question twisting her heart. "I don't know," she admitted. "You concealed a power that could shift empires. You let me believe humans were, well, breakable," he finished. She nodded. Alex placed the polished gauntlet aside and turned to her fully. "Val, humans are breakable. We bleed.
We die.
But before that, we endure things others can't imagine. When pushed, when threatened, when protecting what we love, we unlock strength we didn't know we had." He took her hand, and despite his crushing strength, his touch was gentle. "I didn't want you to love a weapon," he whispered. "I wanted you to love me." Her eyes burned, not with fury, but emotion she rarely allowed herself to show. The galaxy did not need a weapon, but she did. She leaned her forehead to his. "I married a human because I respected your mind and your heart," she said softly. "But now I see your strength too. And it terrifies me because I could have lost you without ever knowing the truth." Alex smiled slightly. "You won't lose me." Valyara gripped his hands tightly, as though anchoring herself to a star. "Then promise me something," she said, voice steady again, the voice of a queen. "When the time comes that enemies rise again, and they will, do not hold back. Not from me. Not from the Dominion. Show them what humanity truly is." Alex looked into her silver-white eyes, knowing the universe would tremble at the meaning of her request. "I promise." They stood together at the balcony of the royal palace, overlooking 3 suns blazing across the sky. In that light, they were not consort and queen, not political allies, not symbols of unity. They were partners. She, the ruler whose voice commanded fleets. He, the human whose strength could shatter mountains if he let it. And somewhere beyond the stars, enemies watched recordings of the battle and whispered in fear. If that is what one human can do, what happens when humanity marches together? Valyara squeezed Alex's hand once more, unable to tear her gaze away from him. She had married a human, yet only now realized she had married a force of nature.